On today's show, Kawhi Leonard returned on Saturday night, and boy, was it a fun atmosphere at the Intuit Dome. Just how did Kawhi Leonard look, and what can this team be now that he's back? Gonna be talking about it all on today's Locked On He's Back Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. Been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my personal podcast, Dime Dropper, and 3 years now for Locked On Clippers. You can subscribe to both channels on YouTube, and Locked On Clippers now has a newsletter written by yours truly. Just go to lockedondaily.com to sign up for it. It'd be really appreciated. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Ladies and gentlemen, Kawhi Leonard is back. I was at the game on Saturday, and I have to say it was the second loudest game, I think, of the season for us. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about that, his return, how dangerous we can be, the vision that I started to see of this team when they were all playing together. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm wearing these glasses, one, I've been staring at too many screens all day, but two, these were actually given out by the Clippers in the wall, or should I say the swell, the heart of the wall that you hear on TV. Because they're doing WWE on Monday at the Intuit Dome, they gave out a plain white t-shirt that you could rip for the free throw distraction, and they already had a cut in it, so it was easy to rip, and then a WWE Clippers collab rally towel and these shades. Pretty awesome, pretty awesome. So let's talk about Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard was back. He was wearing red. And man, I'll tell you, Kawhi Leonard is a needle mover. I could feel the palpable difference in the atmosphere on Saturday night. It felt like there were more fans, a lot more red. And it was the first time we'd ever seen Kawhi Leonard wear red in a Clipper uniform. And when he came out of the tunnel, you could hear the crowd. I was obviously in the loudest section in the building, the swell. And then, of course, when he was introduced, man, I haven't heard noise like that for a Clipper player being introduced in quite some time. If you want to check out what that sounded like, I have a video on my YouTube channel, released it on Sunday morning, with fans' thoughts of his return, and I got his first shot. Speaking of his first shot, how about the fact that Kawhi made 3 threes in his first game back? If you go back to the beginning of the 2022-23 season and the way he was working his way back from that torn ACL, the 3-ball was the one thing that really took a while to come. And the fact that he hit 3 right away and had some good lift on it, first shot he took was a 3 and he made it. I mean, it was awesome to see, and he looked pretty good, honestly. He looked pretty lively. Defense was solid, as you would expect. I mean, there was just so much adrenaline. It was probably so much adrenaline for him, but the building was just electric. You know what I'm saying? We had Chris Dunn on Trae Young to start the game. Ivica Zubac on Clint Capella. And, of course, you knew Dyson Daniels was going to take a crack at James Harden. I want to also note that Jalen Johnson didn't play, and the Hawks were on the second out of a back-to-back. So even if Kawhi Leonard had played or not, I still think that we should have beaten them. But, man, we absolutely destroyed them. Absolutely destroyed them. Ran away with it. Game was pretty much over after the third quarter. I was honestly wondering why we kept Norman Powell in so long. But we won 131-105 in Kawhi's return. Outscored them in the second quarter. Get this. 45-26. And I'll tell you what. I'm going to talk more about Kawhi in a sec. But the two stats when I was looking at the Halo board that stood out to me. Points in the paint and points off turnovers. Those two stats were drastic. Points in the paint, 40 for the Hawks. Wait for it. 74 for us. 74. And then fast break points, 14 for the Hawks, 46 for us. 23 turnovers for the Hawks and 32 points we scored off those turnovers. Now, that's where Kawhi comes in. We look at his stat line, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, and I'll tell you how both of them came. Lazy, high lob passes, cross court on double teams. So Kawhi's got to get that rust off. He's going to get used to getting double teamed again and passing out of those double teams and, just getting back to the NBA, the speed of an NBA game. But double figures in his first game, 4 for 11. The funny part was he was 1 for 6 from 2, but 3 for 5 from 3. And I don't know. I mean, it's going to be, there was one time where he caught the ball under the basket and he was completely fouled and didn't call it. So, I mean, 4 for 10 first game. Let's say that should have been free throws for him. The weird part was he was 1 for 3 from the foul line, but I have zero concern about his shooting percentage. He only played 19 minutes, but partially because we were so in command. I think the way we were playing him, I thought that it gave me the thought that maybe we would play him more minutes if the game was close. It felt like we were giving him time. We were just up by so much that we didn't even need to play him in that fourth quarter or anything like that, thankfully. But he stayed in all the way till 4:42 in the first quarter. So he started the game and played 7 minutes and 18 seconds. So we were letting him get some rhythm, which was nice to see. And to me, it's not about the field goal percentage, as I was about to say. It's about how he looks physically. And I thought he looked pretty spry, pretty mobile. He was looking good on defense, and just having him back defensively, it allows us to have more size, another very good defender, whether on the ball or off the ball. Just another guy that wants to guard and is very good at it. We're talking about a 2-time defensive player of the year, and even though he's not that guy anymore defensively, he's still beyond a positive defender. And that's the best part about having him. It's just not even just the defense, but his threat on the floor offensively. The fact that he's even garnering double teamed in his first game back. And when teams want to help off that corner when he's in it, it's not as easy anymore. So you just have that much more firepower. But overall, I just have to say, seeing Kawhi back, seeing him play his first game at the Intuit Dome, just a blessing to be there. I've said a lot of things about Kawhi and, how hard it's been having him on the team just based on his injuries. And, he's so quiet and his camp's so quiet about so many things. It's mysterious. It's just not ended in, a good result at the end of the seasons for Clipper fans with him on the roster. But my criticisms of Kawhi rarely come on the basketball court. I mean, of course, I have a very high standard for him. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's one of the best small forwards of all time. The reason I'm saying this is because before the Harden stands used to say I was harsh on Harden, Kawhi stands used to say I was harsh on Kawhi. And my criticisms of Kawhi are rarely basketball related. I think he's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. To me, he's one of the best players in basketball when he's at his best. And the reason why I hold him to such a high standard is because he has proven that he can be a best player on a championship team. He, to me, is one of the best small forwards, top 10, to ever play the game. And this game of basketball, a lot of people have played basketball. But if you're in the conversation, first of all, if you're not that many people in the history of mankind have played in the NBA, let alone won championships, let alone been all-stars, let alone been the best player on a championship team. So if you're in the conversation for the best top 10 of a position ever, that means that I have a crazy amount of respect for how good you are. And I think Kawhi even has a case for top 5 if we're talking about his peak. But, I'm very respectful of history, so I always say all these things are arguable. Point being that my criticisms of Kawhi are rarely basketball related. I just hope he can stay on the court. It was fantastic to see him on the court. The fans, Clipper Nation was super into it. I talked to so many fans, and it felt like the general consensus is none of us know and none of us believe necessarily that this is going to be the year he stays healthy, but we can all just hope. We can all just do our best to support the team and hope that this year might be different. And it seems like a general consensus that when he is healthy, this team is going to be better than the Paul George team. And I agree with that. And my biggest concern about this team losing Paul George was what are we going to be doing in games that Kawhi doesn't play? And to be honest, I was wrong on that. I think Norman Powell being able to be insane was what changed the game. And you know what I think was awesome and my biggest takeaway too, besides the fact that Kawhi is back and he's looking pretty good, and I think he's going to be back to that guy very soon. He didn't take away from anybody. if anything, he just made us better, even though he's not at 100%. You got James Harden still diming, maybe not being as aggressive looking for a shot, but still diming. And then Ivica Zubac being an absolute Zubac monster. And then Norman Powell, leading the way, scoring the basketball. So you got to love it. 131-105. We absolutely smacked the Hawks. And Kawhi Leonard is back. And ladies and gentlemen, game 35, he's back. We're 20-15. Broke that little 2-game skid. We're cooking with gas. Coming up, going to be talking about why we're so dangerous with Kawhi Leonard back. How good can we really be? What did I see that was so impressive and makes me think, yeah, we can be something. I got to tell you a little something about PrizePicks. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars than with PrizePicks. Whether you're a diehard fan or just love some friendly competition, PrizePicks makes it fun and easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Think LeBron's going to drop 30 points, or maybe Luka's getting more than 8 assists, or maybe James Harden's getting more than 8 assists. PrizePicks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. Now's the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. No need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, Clipper Nation. We are so back, baby. The vibes were so high on Saturday night. Kawhi is just a needle mover. Our 5th sellout of the season, and you could feel it. You could sense it. It's been that way since we got Kawhi. When he's suited and booted, ready to go, when he's suited up, we are a sold-out house consistently. When he's not, we're not. And that's kind of how it is with most teams in the NBA that don't have some crazy rich history. When their superstars aren't playing, or they don't have superstars, they don't sell out every night. So it's nice to see, and it makes me think that now that Kawhi's back, we might be selling out more every night, and that's going to make it look even better, and it's going to be even louder. And look, the atmosphere was really good. Although I was told that the terrace level, the second layer of seats, the upper level, people were still being quiet. And let me just say to those people that are sitting in terrace seats, just because you're not on the wall, doesn't mean you can't be heard. You know what I'm saying? We got to be loud all over the arena because the separation between the upper level and the lower level is nothing like it was at Staples Center. Everybody can be loud, and we need that whole place loud because in the playoffs, if that whole place has everybody yelling, every Clipper fan in the building yelling consistently, oh my God, it's going to be a fortress. It's going to be a fortress. And let me just tell you part of why it's going to be a fortress. Defensively, we already know that we're nice. You know what I'm saying? Top 5 defensive team in the league. Last I checked, we were in 5th place in defensive rating, but it's been fluctuating on a game-to-game basis. Right now, we are currently 4th. How about that? Over the Memphis Grizzlies. So a top 4 defensive team in the league. You're now adding another great defender to the mix that gives us a little bit more size. Now, one thing to mention is the starting lineup decision. Chris Dunn and not Derrick Jones Jr. But Ty Lue made the point that it's going to be based on matchups. So we were playing Trae Young. You want to have more of a guy like Chris Dunn, a guard, to guard him. However, Derrick Jones Jr., I thought he was doing a very solid job at the point of attack as well. So I'm okay with that, kind of game-to-game decision on that 5th starter. But I wonder if it's going to mess with their rhythm at all. Now, Kawhi, defensively, I thought he did a good job in the passing lane, solid on the ball when called upon. But it's just about having another good defender out there alongside these guys like Chris Dunn, who was really solid defensively. And, of course, Derrick Jones Jr., who was quite the standout. He came into the game and was putting on a dunk contest. And a lot of that was because the Atlanta Hawks made the grave mistake of throwing 2 on the ball on the pick and rolls with James Harden. And when you do that, and Norman Powell as well, and when you do that, James Harden is very good at making that first pass, and that's where Ivica Zubac now in the short roll can show off how much better he's gone in those situations. He's been so much more patient this season. He's making the right pass. He's just improved in so many different ways. And when you got Derrick Jones Jr. diving from that baseline and a 7-footer coming down the lane, who's got a great little, push shot and a little floater, you got to step up. And then it's at that point, it's 2-on-1. You can throw it up to the ceiling and the rafters at the Intuit Dome, and he's going to go up and get it, Derrick Jones Jr. So you saw that 2 times in a row. And that lob that James Harden threw, I mean, oh my God, that was so high. I thought it almost went over the top of the backboard. How great has Derrick Jones Jr. been? Although I mentioned his 3-point shooting struggles lately and in this game, I mean, they continued. He was 0 for 3 from deep, but he had 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals and no turnovers off the bench on 6 for 11 shooting in 22 minutes. And he said after the game, I don't care about starting. I just want to win. I mean, I love how great Derrick has been. And then I mentioned, Zoo and Norm, they were able to still do their thing. Norman Powell, we went to those Norman Powell curls early on in the game and throughout the game, and he was still being aggressive. And the thing about Norm is, I don't even think his PPG is going to decrease that much with Kawhi. I think when you have a Kawhi and a Paul George, and he's coming off the bench, that obviously would decrease his points per game by a lot. But we don't have a Paul George, thankfully, this season. And Kawhi and James Harden having 2 stars now, that's just going to get him even more opportunities where teams are going to be like, oh, if Norman Powell's 1 pass away from Kawhi Leonard with the ball in his hands, I don't know if I can double that. You know what I'm saying? These kind of situations. I don't know if I can sink from the weak side corner with Norman Powell. I might rather have, Zubac take the push shot because Norm is so good at shooting open threes. That's probably never going to happen, though, but because teams are never going to give up open dunks or layups. But, hey, the point is, you know what I mean. Norman Powell being out there with other stars, that's hard to guard. You got to pick your poison if you're the defense. But yeah, we know how it goes. When we get stops, and the Hawks, I mean, they played into our hands completely in this game in various ways. They took a lot of ill-advised threes. They looked tired. They looked like they're ready to go home. They didn't work hard for good shots, and they didn't make us work. And with us, you can't just come out here and dog it and take reckless shots. We'll run you out the gym. You know what I'm saying? We'll run you out the gym. You have to be able to make us work defensively, or else you're going to struggle. And with all the hype in the building, I mean, there was not one Hawk. I saw like maybe 3 Hawks fans in the entire building. So it was all Clipper fans. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of night, I mean, especially when Trae Young went out of the game, it was too much for the Hawks to overcome. They didn't have Jalen Johnson. And, Amir Coffey, he came in and gave us points. It wasn't super efficient, but he came in and gave us points. 17 to be exact, to go along with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and no turnovers on 5 for 14 shooting and 3 for 8 from 3, 4 for 4 from the line. And James Harden, he was just the maestro, orchestrating, not forcing anything, ISOing when he had to. And, of course, the Hawks going to switch 1 through 4, and James is able to ISO and create advantages, but he's just able to, pick his spots and conserve his energy so much better now. It's really ideal for him. He had an absurd amount of assists. I think he had 11 at halftime. Ended up with 10 points, 2 rebounds, 15 assists, 2 steals, 4 turnovers. So over a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He didn't shoot very well. 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line in 29 minutes. But I thought he was very good and did his job in helping us get open shots and linking up in the pick and roll with this man, Ivica Zubac. And yes, I'm using the Zubac when he's putting up stat lines like this. 18 points, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, just 1 turnover on 9 for 11 shooting. Of course, he missed his only free throw, but in 32 minutes, he outplayed Clint Capella because guess what? He's just a lot better than Clint Capella. He's been unbelievable, Zoo. That push shot, I mean, his touch around the basket is phenomenal, and those pick and rolls, and then the short roll stuff I was talking about. And he was completely shutting off the rim, just completely. And I love when he's going up strong, dunking the basketball. There was that first quarter, we were dunking left and right. It was beautiful to watch. But coming up, going to talk about KPJ and how he's absolutely owning me since I said that he should be out of the rotation, and the return of Mr. Terance Mann. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. And this week, or upcoming with FanDuel, we got playoffs. We got playoffs of the NFL, baby. And my Rams are going to be playing against the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi Stadium at the same night that the Clippers are playing the Heat. Lakers are playing the Spurs. It's going to be a crazy night in Los Angeles. That is going to be January 13th at 5 o'clock local time. The Vikings are -2.5. Obviously, they have a much better record than the Rams. But the Rams are the division winner. The Chargers going to Houston, Texas on Saturday at 1:30 Pacific. They are -2.5 in that one. And where can you go to bet on these games? FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. Talking about the Clippers winning 131-105 over the Atlanta Hawks. Let's talk about the return of Terance Mann. Received a nice ovation when he came out of that tunnel, and I'll tell you what, he was looking elite. And maybe it's just that New Year Terance Mann, you know how he does, where he plays so much better that second half of the season. He was everywhere. He was playing good D. He was active. He looked, lively, looked athletic, looked spry. That beautiful spin move and dish he had. And you could see, when Terance is feeling himself, it's just amazing how much of an impact he can make in so many different ways and how great it can be around stars. And I think having Kawhi back is going to really help Terance. It really is. And it's just a matter of if his three ball starts falling. If his three ball starts falling, he's going to be so confident. He's going to play defense at an even higher level. He's just such a confidence guy. I have a kid that I coach that has so many of the same tendencies as Terance. It's funny. He's confidence is massive for everybody. Massive for everybody in every level of sports. But there are just some guys whose confidence just wavers a little bit more than it should. And Terance Mann is one of those guys for me. I'm saying that as he's my favorite player on the team, and it was great to see him high spirits, affecting the game in ways, both ends of the floor. But I hope it stays that way. You know what I'm saying? I hope he can continue to build up that momentum as our bench player. And it just shows you how deep our team is. Amir Coffey's having a career year. If we can get Terance Mann playing at that level that we've been so accustomed to seeing him play at as Clipper fans, and then Kawhi can become Kawhi again with Norm playing. Maybe he takes a slight dip in PPG to about 20 a game. I mean, geez. And then James Harden doing his thing with 18 and 10. And Zoo with 16 and 13. My God. I mean, we're back in that championship conversation for me if Kawhi can be healthy. I really believe so because I think the league is so open. Now, would I pick us over OKC or Boston? Probably not. Should I even mention us in the championship discussion because of Kawhi's health? Probably not. But it's always that if, right? And people thought, including myself, and I'd still have to stand by it, that I wouldn't pick us to win a championship if we were healthy. But I think that we are top 5 in the discussion, and I didn't know if we would be necessarily letting Paul George walk for free, even though I like the pieces that we have replacing him. But it's that Norman Powell jump that's made us so much better than I thought. And then also Amir Coffey shooting super well. Not really Amir Coffey, more so Chris Dunn also being better than I thought. But let's talk about Kevin Porter Jr. I said a couple of games ago that KPJ shouldn't be in the rotation anymore, and he's made me look like an absolute clown these last 2 games. Now, last game I said, I'm going to stand by my take. And you know what? Bones Highland does not do me any favors or himself when he comes in garbage time and plays horribly and misses a bunch of shots. But I'm adamant that Bones Highland playing garbage time minutes and only garbage time minutes is never going to allow him to get into any rhythm. Now, do I think that he's a better pro than KPJ? No, I honestly don't. Actually, you know what? I don't, based on what we've seen so far in their respective careers. But Bones Highland just didn't have the opportunity to have the green light that KPJ had in that dysfunctional Rockets team. But KPJ's played really well. He was getting in the paint. He was more decisive these last 2 games. And, he had 17 points and 7 assists. And a lot of Clipper fans said after the game to me, look, I'm not a fan of KPJ, but he was great tonight. So 15 points, 3 rebounds. I said 17. It was 15 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover on a very efficient 6 for 7 from the field, 3 for 4 from the foul line in 19 minutes. And a lot of it was just getting out on the break and finishing. And Terance Mann, by the way, I didn't mention his stat line. 12 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover on a perfect 5 for 5 from the field and 2 for 2 from 3 in 16 minutes. I mean, do you not love that? Like, come on. And then Nico. Almost forgot about Nico. Just another guy that helps you win ball games and can guard. 4 points, 1 assist, 1 steal on 2 for 4 shooting. Made his 2 twos and missed his 2 threes. Chris Dunn, 2 points, 3 boards, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers on 1 for 2 shooting in 13 minutes. Quieter night for Chris. But yeah, we have our big 4 now. It's an amazing feeling. So moral of the story with KPJ, how do I feel? I think there's no reason why he should be out of the rotation right now. There's not. Would I like to see Bones Highland get a chance? Yes, but you can't do that now after he's had 2 good games in a row. So game-by-game basis, I'm not going to totally waver on my take because we're playing the Hawks without Jalen Johnson. That's not exactly high-level competition. So I'm not going to be moved beating them, him playing well against them. But if I'm Ty Lue, you don't take a guy out of the rotation for that. After that, I should say. And he was hooping. And I still, again, I'm totally open if Bones Highland gets a chance and is worse than KPJ, which is very likely, then hey, KPJ should continue being that guy. But I also think Bones, like the writing's on the wall for him, and I feel sorry for him, but, he's going to get moved, most likely, and it's for his best interest. And, a guy like that, he's got to, teams that have win now expectations have shown that they do not want to, they don't trust Bones with minutes, right? The Nuggets and us. So he's got to go to a team with lower expectations or else he's not going to be in the league anymore. And I'm rooting for him. But it just feels like the addition of Kevin Porter Jr. kind of sealed Bones' fate. It's unfortunate. But I think he's behind Jordan Miller in the rotation. But yeah. Norman Powell had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers on 50% shooting. 8 for 16 from the field and 40% from 3, 4 for 10. Already mentioned James Harden with that 10 and 15 stat line. Zubac with the 18 and 18 and 4. Then Kawhi with the 12. Clippers winning at 131-105. We're back in action on Monday against the dysfunctional at the moment I almost said the Milwaukee Bucks. The Minnesota Timberwolves. We have not played well against them this season, though, so hopefully we can get our lick back now that Kawhi will be playing. And Anthony Edwards is complaining about spacing publicly. So, hey, man, they're there for the taking. Let's have some Wolves for dinner on Monday night, huh? Let's do it. Rudy Escar-Gobert. Getting ready for Terance Mann to dunk on him again, maybe? Terance Mann, Rudy Gobert. It's a tale as old as time itself. Clippers, Wolves, Kawhi is back. Clipper Nation rejoice and just appreciate having Kawhi on the court because he is that dude for us and we don't get anywhere serious without him. And we don't see him play for us that much. So we want to be appreciative. Yes, I know that he played 68 games this year, but you know how it goes. You know how it is, Clipper Nation. We just got to be appreciative he's on the court. And Kawhi, after the game, said there was nothing hard about playing tonight. Said we did the right steps to get me at this point, and playing basketball was the easy part of it. This is what I love to do. The hard part is just not playing and having to rehab and competing with my teammates. So there you go. Everybody was happy to have him, and there was a lot of media in the building, and Norm said, I'm really excited. First game, he looked really good, so we'll just continue to try and build on that. He also said, I've been talking to him, telling him I can't wait for him to come back. The attention that's been on me and James to start the year with Kawhi on the floor, he draws so much attention, double teams. I'm able to finally get some catch and shoot threes. So there you go. Kawhi's back, baby. I'm excited for the next game. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel to check out what it was like in the building and to hear fans' thoughts after the game, on the season, what they think about Kawhi and if he could stay healthy this year. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. If you can't listen on audio, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell so you can see every time we post a video. Let's get us to 7,000 subscribers by the end of January. It'd be really appreciated. Make sure you sign up to the Locked On Clippers newsletter at lockedondaily.com. It would be really appreciated. Put some time into that every single day. Appreciate you all. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.